Another way that we can change images and how they look is by adding a filter. And there's quite a variety of filters, and each one changes the images in its own way. So we're going to be working with these same images, but let's go down to the filter styles, and they're in a figure box. And let's work with the figure 1 first, the one with ID figure 1. And we'll create a style block for this. And here we're going to do, now filter started out as a WebKit property. This is common. New properties often start in a specific browser version. And they started here, and it's still good practice to go ahead and add this part. We're not only going to add this, but we'll add the straight filter property, CSS filter property as well. And we're going to add exactly the same filters on this. We're just going to do it twice. And what this will do is it'll work in more browsers. So if the WebKit doesn't work, then the filter will. If the filter doesn't work, then the WebKit will. And that way you just get it in more browsers. And this has more impact when you're working with browsers that are not fully updated, like they might be an older version. All right, the first filter that we're going to add is the Sepia filter. And Sepia, changed it to, I mean, that's a very specific term, Sepia, and we're going to add 0.8, and this, once we do this, now the values for Sepia are 0 to 1, so the more sepia that you want, you use a higher number closer to 1, and if you want just a little bit, you put it closer to 0. So here we refresh. Now this is going to be figure 1, so watch this one to see how it changes, and there you get that sepia impact. And it's a real change, right, in how that looks. So that's what we're going to do with figure 1. Now I'm going to copy this because these are very similar, and then I'll just change it with the things that we need. So this is going to be with figure 2. So ID, where the ID is figure 2. We're still going to use the WebKit filter and the filter, but this time we're going to use Grayscale. So instead of sepia, let's get rid of this. Oh, I see I missed that up here. Sepia, how did that happen? Obviously the WebKit filter was working fine because we got the change. All right, so at least I had it correct in one spot. Okay, mine's up to date, so I'm pretty sure it would work with either of those. Okay, Grayscale. And the Grayscale, again, is a value from 0 to 1. And so the more Grayscale you want applied, get closer to 1. And we're going to do the all the way. We're going to put Grayscale to 1, which is the max Grayscale. And let's see what Grayscale does. So we save that and refresh. And there, look what it did. It went Grayscale. So it's black and white. And if you don't want quite as much Grayscale, then you put a smaller number in there, something closer to 0. And there's what Grayscale does. All right, let's go ahead and do the third image. And again, try some other kinds of filters so we can see how this works. So figure 3, and the one that we're going to use this time is the Saturate. So here we do Saturate. Oops. Saturate. Now Saturate, the numbering for Saturate is a little bit different. So if you want less saturation than the original image, you do something between 0 and 1. If you want more saturation, you do something above 1. And we want a 1.5 saturation here. So let's go and add it in both places, saturate 1.5. So again, 0 to 1 means it has less saturation. Anything over 1 is more. And so we're asking for more. Now watch, this is figure 3. So let's see what happens over here. Now notice what we got. We got more color came through. So that's the saturation part. Now we're going to make we're going to apply a second filter to this figure 3. And this one is contrast. And so when you do more than one, keep the same filter property and just do a space. So now we do contrast, and we're going to do 1.2. Now the numbering on this is the same as with Saturate. If you want less contrast, you put a number between 0 and 1. If you want more contrast, you put a value greater than 1. So we do contrast, 1.2. We save that and refresh. And there we got more contrast between the colors. Oh, look, it looks like our shadow on the right side is missing, and contrast or saturation won't do that. So let's see, we just added contrast, right, and it seems like it went away. But what it is we just have, it's not big enough. So we just have cut it off. So there, we spread out a little bit, and we see that our shadows remained, right? The box shadow remained. And we've got both the saturation, which adds the more color, and the contrast, which makes more contrast between the colors, because we used a value greater than 1. So being able to apply filters can really change the look of images.